Hello, I'm John Cunningham, and welcome to our new show, Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip Companies is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with executives of two public companies. First up is ASP Isotopes, stock symbol ASPI on the NASDAQ. ASP Isotopes is an emerging leader in isotope enrichment technology with wide application potential across a variety of industries. The company expects to be a leading supplier of non-nuclear enriched isotopes, generating over $150 million in EBITDA per annum by 2028. And they've already secured multiple long-term supply agreements with customers globally. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. First up is Bullfrog AI, stock symbol BFRG on the NASDAQ. Bullfrog, which just completed its IPO in February, is focused on AI-driven drug development. Its proprietary BF Leap analytics engine is derived from technology developed at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. This powerful AI and machine learning tool enables Bullfrog to analyze massive, complex, multifactorial data sets. This enables the successful development of pharmaceuticals and biologics by predicting which patients will respond to therapies in development. Later, you'll see an interview with Bullfrog CEO Vin Singh, where he'll discuss Bullfrog's AI technology and how it could revolutionize drug development. Now, before we get to our first interview, our quote of the week, it comes from the book Small Stocks, Big Money. You can be happy with the companies you own, but you may not be happy with their stock performance. If you know what you're investing in and you're patient, you'll have a day when the market recognizes the value, but that may not be today or tomorrow. This quote comes from Byron Roth, CEO of Roth Capital, featured in Chapter 7 of Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Quick question. Are you interested in gaining a deeper understanding of the companies featured on Small Stocks, Big Money? If so, be sure to join us for our exclusive investor webinars. This is your opportunity to gain an in-depth look at our featured companies and where you can speak directly to management, giving you tremendous insights straight from the source. Visit redchip.com/events for a full calendar of upcoming webinars and register today to secure your spot at the next event. Now let's get started with our first interview today with ASP Isotopes.
Today we have Paul Mann, CEO of ASP Isotopes, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker ASPI. Paul, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
ASP Isotopes is commercializing proven and proprietary technology for manufacturing a diverse range of isotopes to meet growing demand in nuclear medicine and green energy. For viewers new to the story, Paul, why is isotope demand increasing, and how is ASP Isotopes uniquely positioned to supply isotopes to meet this demand?
So right now we have strong demand for isotopes as well as supply side pressure, which puts us in a pretty unique position in history. In terms of the supply side, 85% of stable isotopes for healthcare come from Russia, remaining 15% from Europe. So there is no domestic US producer of these types of stable isotopes. Looking at critical parts of the infrastructure in the United States, isotopes as lithium-7 are required to keep nuclear power stations operational. 100% of lithium-7 comes from Russia. The USA imports about 90% of its enriched uranium for nuclear power. So there's a real supply-side shortage of isotopes and a supply-side pressure. At the same time, we see good demand growth as well. Healthcare applications for isotopes have traditionally grown at GDP plus a few points, and I wouldn't expect that to change anytime soon. And there are many new uses for isotopes emerging. Silicon-28 for quantum computing and artificial intelligence, new types of green energy, new uses for healthcare and oncology treatments. So Lots of interesting new growth areas. At the same time, we're seeing supply side pressure. What's interesting about ASPI is that we have a unique technology that allows us to enrich isotopes in a very cheap, efficient fashion. Our cost of building a plant is much lower than traditional centrifuges. We can do it more quickly, and we have a lot of interest from both companies and governments who need isotopes they can't get supply of right now. So it's a great. We're very excited by the future and the opportunity to have in front of us.
Paul, how big do you estimate the market opportunity is for isotopes?
Yeah, that's a bit like asking, how big is a plate of food? It depends on whose plate of food it is. But, for something like HALEU, so high-assay low-enriched uranium, we've had interest in over $30 billion of product from just 2 customers. And we're talking to more. So perhaps actually the ultimate demand over a number of years is even bigger than that. But something like carbon-14, the contract we signed with a Canadian customer there is for a minimum take or pay of just $2.5 million a year, and perhaps the market is twice that size. So it really depends. The size of each market depends upon which exactly isotope we're looking at. And what's exciting about the opportunity here, the opportunities that we have in front of us here, is that there really is so little competition, and we have a long list of companies that are requesting isotopes from us. So we've got many years of growth ahead of us. It's really very exciting.
ASP Isotopes currently has 2 plants in South Africa that are expected to enter commercial production in the coming months. What can you tell us about these facilities, and why South Africa?
Yeah, so South Africa has actually got a long history in the enrichment industry, in the nuclear industry. During the apartheid years, the country enriched its own uranium, both for weapons and for nuclear fuel. South Africa changed a lot during the early 1990s. The country obviously saw a positive change in its political environment, and the country exited its enrichment industry. It closed down its weapons program. The country joined the International Atomic Energy Agency. They became signatories of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And so our scientists who grew up in that industry started to look for other ways to enrich isotopes for more peaceful applications, such as healthcare and other advanced technologies. So we have 2 plants in South Africa. We acquired them both during essentially a bankruptcy process in South Africa about 2 years ago. The first is a quite small plant that'll produce the world's demand of carbon-14. That'll go into production late this year, early next year. And that plant's entirely sold out to a Canadian customer. And the second plant's a lot bigger. That can produce isotopes such as molybdenum-100 and silicon-28. And again, that'll be producing isotopes early part of next year. We've signed 2 contracts for production from that facility.
Paul, you recently announced the formation of Quantum Leap Energy, a new subsidiary focusing on the future needs for nuclear fuels. Talk to us about this subsidiary and what nuclear fuels you intend to produce.
Yeah, so the world has a challenging equation to solve over the next 30 years. Somehow we have to double electricity production whilst keeping carbon emissions neutral or flat. Wind and solar are great when you've got wind and sun, but when you haven't got wind and sun, they're kind of a problem. In our opinion, and I think most countries are coming to this view as well, nuclear power is the answer to a green, environmentally friendly base load for most countries. In our opinion, and I think most other people's view, small modular reactors are the future for nuclear energy. This is a bit like the Ford Model T of motor cars into nuclear engineering. It brings production line economics to an industry and can collapse the cost dramatically. The benefits of an SMR is that almost anyone in the world can have access to very cheap, environmentally friendly energy. This is really important because if we're going to transform the world to a greener, low carbon footprint, that green energy has to trade at a discount to hydrocarbon energy. You can't go to emerging markets and ask emerging market citizens to pay a premium for green energy. It's not going to work. And historically, green energy is traded at a premium to hydrocarbon-based energy. And what we're excited about is being able to produce nuclear fuels that will allow energy in the future, green energy, to trade at a discount to hydrocarbon-based energy. So we've been talking to a lot of SMR companies about their needs for nuclear fuels over the last 18 months. We're talking to 4 or 5 pretty big ones in the United States. We've signed a memorandum of understanding with a very large SMR company to build a plant that can produce HALEU, high-assay low-enriched uranium. And that's what these companies need to produce the nuclear power. And right now, there is no Western producer of commercial quantities of HALEU. And so that's our goal over the next several years, is to become the leading supplier of HALEU. The other fuel we're looking at is lithium-6 and lithium-7. Lithium-6 is going to be required for nuclear fusion. And again, there's no Western producer of lithium-6 right now.
Paul, there are many people out there that think wind and solar are the future for green energy and not nuclear. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think the future requires a combination of approaches. Wind and solar is great when you have wind and you have sun, but in some parts of the world or some countries, you simply can't rely on those two forms of green energy, particularly those in the northern and southern latitudes where you have long nights in the winter and long days in the summer. Some countries simply don't have enough wind to power the country. Some countries are looking at tidal power as well. So some countries have got strong tides, others don't. So listen, I think the future requires all of those approaches. But certainly a lot of countries are focusing on nuclear. And we agree that for countries that can't benefit from solar and wind, nuclear is the way forward.
Paul, we get a lot of questions here at RedChip about the cash position of ASP Isotopes. Talk to us about that for a moment.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we actually just raised recently, in fact this week, a little over $9 million. We actually had a reverse inquiry from a group of nuclear/uranium clean energy investors who wanted to invest in the company and couldn't find the liquidity in the marketplace. So I think our 10Q said we finished June with about $3 million of cash in the balance sheet. We've just raised another 9. In September, we actually received our first prepayment from a customer to secure deliveries in 2024. So we feel our balance sheet is really pretty strong right now, plenty of runway. We don't spend much money as a company. And as we look forward to 2024, we've signed 3 contracts that should start bringing in substantial amounts of free cash flow. The first is for Carbon-14. That's a minimum take or pay of $2.5 million a year, which is supported by a bank letter of guarantee. We signed a $9 million agreement with a US customer for a highly enriched metal. Then we have a customer in China that would like up to $27 million of molybdenum-100. And we're still talking to a couple of customers who may well end up supplying in 2024. So we feel in a really strong position right now with a balance sheet, plenty of cash on it, 2 plants that are pretty much ready to go, and a long list of customers wanting product next year.
Now, Paul, you've been touching on this before, but I want to know more. How is your quantum enrichment technology different from other enrichment methods?
So our quantum enrichment technology uses a laser to excite certain isotopes and extract them out of the mixture, as it were. The benefits of our approach is that we have substantially lower capex relative to a traditional centrifuge. We're talking tens of millions of dollars rather than billions of dollars. And it's a very effective way of enriching small quantities of highly specialized products. So centrifuges are great at producing thousands of metric tons a year of very commoditized products. But our laser approach is better at producing maybe tens of tons of very specialist products a year. And that's one of the reasons why SMR companies or nuclear companies are interested in investing in the technology, because the return on capital is substantially higher than that in a traditional centrifuge, which is typically billions of dollars for a few $1 million of free cash flow.
Paul, it goes without saying that management is key to any company, and especially a smaller cap company. What can you tell us about some of the key players on your team?
We've been very lucky to inherit a great group of scientists in South Africa. We've got about 50 employees now in South Africa, about 7 PhDs. In fact, one of our members has 2 PhDs, one in chemistry and one in physics. About 10 advanced degrees of chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. So when you have that kind of technical capability, that allows us to do some great science and great engineering, and that's really what's allowed us to build these 2 plants so quickly. We've got a great board of directors as well, a very diverse board of directors as well, which is very supportive and and they understand the science too. So, we've been fortunate enough to be able to hire great people and retain them.
Paul, we've been talking a lot here about your great company. Let's wrap it all up now into an essential value proposition for our viewers out there. Why should they pay attention to ASP Isotopes right now?
We're at a significant inflection point in the company as we gear up to first production and free cash flow next year. We've got a long list of opportunities ahead of us, not a lot of competition competing for those opportunities, and so it's really exciting to be involved in that industry. As I look forward to 12, 18, 24 months' time, I'd like to think we have good free cash flow coming from our 2 plants in South Africa. We're building plants in a new geography with low-cost green energy, such as Iceland, and we're making good progress towards producing nuclear fuels for the future. So an exciting next 12, 24 months ahead of us. I hope people can join us on that journey.
It is a fascinating story, Paul. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's move on to our next interview today with Bullfrog AI.
Hello there. Today we have Vin Singh, CEO of Bullfrog AI, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker BFRG. Vin, great to see you again.
Great to see you, Craig. Thank you.
Let's start with an overview of your platform, Vin, and what makes it unique.
So we are a tech-enabled drug development company. We have a proprietary AI that comes from Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. This is an award-winning technology. It won Innovation of the Year at the Applied Physics Lab. About a month ago, that technology developed by APL was recognized as a finalist in the R&D 100 Award, which is the global Oscars for R&D. That's what it's considered. And we have a publication that APL put out over a year ago that some of our algorithms to the most popular clustering algorithms used in the world. And these algorithms that we've licensed came out on top for speed and accuracy of prediction. So we're starting with a very powerful, rock-solid technology from a blue chip institution, and we're very excited about that.
Vin, just how big is the market opportunity your company is addressing?
Well, we know AI as a tool in drug development and clinical development. It's a multi-billion-dollar market. When you look at things like rescuing failed drugs or repurposing existing drugs, that's a market that's in the many billions. When you're talking about rescuing drugs, and we have not done that yet, but this is something we're very interested in, there have been thousands and thousands of drugs that have failed in late-stage clinical trials. And remember, at that point, hundreds of millions of dollars and many years has been invested in each drug. So there's a lot of valuable information there and an opportunity to maybe get some of these drugs to the finish line.
Let's talk about your business model. How does Bullfrog AI plan to make money?
We have parallel paths in our business model. We have external projects and we have internal projects. External projects are fee-for-service strategic partnership deals with biotech and pharmaceutical companies where we're able to analyze their proprietary data, make discoveries, uncover insights, find patterns, relationships, potentially help with designing a clinical trial or predicting disease progression so that pharma can better design a clinical trial. And then in-house, we have our own development programs. We've licensed the rights to a couple of drugs, and we have another discovery program. And our model is a little different, though, than a typical biotech in that we look to use our technology to advance these development programs with a partner, right? So this is a precision medicine approach to drug development. But our goal is to get in and out of opportunities as quickly as we can, so we're constantly cranking that revenue engine.
In order to do that, you're going to need a great management team, which I know you've got, Vin. Introduce us to the Bullfrog AI team.
Yeah, we have an outstanding team. I say we have a very deep bench. Everybody on the team or most of the people have about 25 plus years of experience, coming from different parts of industry and academia. So we have people that are brilliant intellectuals, others that are drug developers, and others that know how to build a business, like coming out of Thermo Fisher Scientific, for example. Our chief commercial officer, he comes out of Thermo Fisher Scientific and Covance. He's had a very successful career building businesses from a few $100 million to over $1 billion for them. Our CFO has more than 40 years of experience, has been CFO of multiple public biotechs. Our chief medical officer comes out of Takeda Pharmaceuticals, and so on and so forth. So it's a great team, great chemistry, and I think to be successful in this industry, you need that mixture of people with diverse backgrounds and experiences to be successful.
Tell us what we can expect in the fourth quarter and into 2024, Vin.
Well, we're completely focused on revenue, getting deals done. We expect our pipeline that we've been building aggressively over the past several months to mature and start yielding results. In our space, the sales cycle, it's not days or weeks. It can take 3 to 6 months. And we're at that point now. So we expect to start getting some deals done that are going to be revenue generating deals. We're also aggressively pursuing strategic partners for 2 of our in-house development programs. So we're very excited about the potential there. And we recently announced some exciting news about one of them, our glioblastoma program. We completed an animal study comparing our 2 glioblastoma drugs and got very positive results. Both drugs appear to be effective in shrinking tumors, and one of the drugs has additional advantages. So we think that makes it an even more attractive program for partnering. But that's really the focus the rest of this year and all of next year.
I want to know more about this BF Leap platform. You've added some new collaborations recently, Vin. What do you see happening there?
Yeah, we're really excited about this one. We recently announced a strategic partnership with the Lieber Institute for Brain Development. This is a world-renowned research institution based in Baltimore. They have the largest collection of post-mortem brains in the world, over 4,000. And that's really important because neuropsychiatric disorders are a massive problem. 1 in 8 people on planet Earth have a neuropsychiatric disorder. It's a very big market. There's huge challenges in the development of drugs in that space. And that's because, number one, the brain is an extremely complex organ and very difficult to model. Out of all the organs in the body, it's the one we know the least about. Number two, animal brains are not a good model for human brains, so that presents all kinds of challenges. And number three, you can't biopsy somebody's brain and then study the tissue. So that presents even more challenges and obstacles. So getting access, exclusive access to this massive database, very comprehensive, very deep, robust database of brain information is going to allow us to do things that are going to ultimately lead to revenue for Bullfrog. And that's going to happen a couple ways. We're going to analyze this data across a whole spectrum of neuropsychiatric disorders. And I think 2 big things are going to come out of it. One, we're going to identify clusters of factors that better predict patient disease progression, which will then allow pharma to design a clinical trial that can be successful. So this is a precision medicine approach. The second thing is identifying potential new drug targets for a whole series of neuropsychiatric disorders. Pharma will be interested in screening their library of drugs against these drug targets, and that presents maybe several different opportunities for them. One, existing drugs that they have that are approved, maybe they can be repurposed if there's a hit there. 2, drugs that have failed, maybe they can be revived, okay, if there's a hit there. And 3, it might be a new drug development, new drug discovery program that can be launched based on those findings. So again, this is the first time all of this data is being analyzed with an AI, and we have a very powerful proprietary AI. So it's a combination of 2 great organizations with 2 very powerful strengths, and we're hoping it's going to make a big difference in the world of CNS.
In summary, Vin, what is the essential value proposition? why should investors take an interest in Bullfrog AI right now?
So the drug development industry is inefficient. There are extremely long development timelines, 10 to 15 years, $1 to $2 billion to develop drugs, and the failure rate is still incredibly high. Using our technology, we intend to do a few things. Number one, shrink development times. Number two, shrink the investment required to get a drug through development and to market. And number three, increase the success rates. And if we do all of that, everybody watching is going to benefit, because then you're going to have more successful drugs that actually work for patients and that are actually affordable. And that's ultimately the goal of what we're doing.
It is an amazing story, Vin, and you tell it very well. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Craig. It's been a pleasure.
In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile asset class. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies. So please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new exciting emerging growth company.